How y'all doing? This is the show where we serve the underserved and look into the overlooked. That's right. Go ahead and hit that like button. Grab this link and share it. This is the very first of a very, very special type of event we're going to do. It's called CYBER Ciphers. We get 4 different apologists together on a monthly basis, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to go live with these guys. And tonight is the very first CYBER Cypher. And so let me make sure everybody can hear me and see me. Can you guys hear me and see me out there? And I'm about to start this joint to make sure everything's straight. Let me do one quick test here. Yep, looks like we're good. Okay, we are good. All right, so greetings to the live chat. Sorry I started a little bit late. Had some technical stuff. You know how that goes. But check this out. Today's show is Thursday, February 20th. It's 7:25 here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm going to be joined on a panel by Adam Coleman of True ID Apologetics. Definitely subscribe to his channel. And Chris Featherstone, I'll let him tell you more about what he does over there. Vision. And of course, we got Alfredo Valentin, the BK Brooklyn Apologist. And right now it's time to begin this show, this CYBER Cypher. We're going to discuss the need for unity amongst urban Christian apologists, give you guys some real life examples, as well as what about unity amongst our ideological competitors? What's up with that? You're going to find out all that tonight. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go! We are in the building. What's up? You guys are here? Happy? Adam, you can stop eating that sandwich, bruh. Oh, hold up. Let me unmute you real quick, man. My bad. Okay. I'm gonna make sure I get that laugh in there and stuff like that. You was muted for just a second. Okay, now you're unmuted. Now you got to stop eating that sandwich.
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Yeah, we got to tell the backstory about that at some point, man.
All right, hey, go ahead. Adam Coleman, break him off. What's the backstory about you eating sandwiches on the air?
The backstory is last time I was on my man Vocab's channel, he invited me on the channel. You know what I'm saying? I get on here and this man tells me that I can't. I have like 2 slices of pizza sitting next to me. He's telling me I can't rock with him. I can't eat them on channel. Like his channel is too professional. Now on my channel we just get down whatever. Alfredo knows what's up. I'm eating pizza, drinking sodas, doing whatever. But you know, Vocab, he's the cream of the crop. You know what I mean? So he didn't have all that on his channel. So he actually booted me off his channel for a couple of minutes while I finished my pizza before he would let me back on. I felt some kind of way about that, man. So just now, I just had me a couple of sandwiches, and I had to scarf them down, man. I'm thirsty as a mug now from 2 peanut butter and syrup sandwiches, and I'm out here scrambling. But it's all for love, though. Well, it's all.
I'm thirsty too, and that's why I've got these beautiful ice cubes. I wish you could see these. These are Death Star ice cubes. All right, we are gonna do the show, but here, let me show you real quick here. All right,
Death Star ice cubes.
Ooh, yes. Special effects.
I regret to inform you, these are fully operational. Oh yeah, that's no moon. That's an ice cube. Oops, I spilled a little bit. The reason why that happened is because I had this big giant one, right? And I was live on air with David Wood, and I tried to put it into the glass, and it broke the glass, and I cut myself live on the air. I got HIV everywhere and everything. It was crazy, right?
Oh, wow. Ooh, hey. Ooh.
This
became a whole different
a lot of disclosure going on right now.
Yeah. And so,
left real quick.
And so what happened is during Doctor for the Block, the mod squad came through, the Matrix, cool, super cool people, and they bought me these little miniature ice cube Death Star tray. You know, this tiny little one, and now it's so small and it's beautiful.
Okay.
So
I'm still calling it HIV, but all right.
It's a joke, man. It's just throw stuff out. Part of humor is surprise, you know.
Right.
All right, so
I'm surprised.
We got So was I So. Okay, so who else we got up in the house? We got Alfredo Valentin, BK Apologist, man. What's going on with you, brother?
Yeah, what's going on? Transmitting all the way live. New York is the city. Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping?
Yeah, that's right. And we got my man from Columbus, Ohio, O State, in the building. Oh, shoot. Chris Featherstone, Vision Unlimited?
United.
Dang it, man. I always mess up on that, man. I'm sorry, man. Vision United. Vision United.
Vision Unlimited.
You got that good vision. Yeah. All right, so we are apologists. We love the Lord Jesus Christ, and we just do all kinds of things. We talk about the resurrection. We talk about the Bible. We talk about evidence for God. You know what I mean? But we also talk about. Well, I don't know where Adam went, but I guess he's eating his sandwich again. We also talk about things relating to a certain, cultural context. And so people call us urban apologists, whatever. Shout out to MJ Jackson. He was supposed to join us tonight, but I messed up. And so I'll get you on the next one, MJ. That's the homie. Thank you for the super chat. And everyone subscribe to all these channels, including MJ's. Now, this is the very first time we're going to do this, as I mentioned before. It's called the CYBER CYPHER, and it means a monthly meeting of the minds. 4 apologists get together, discuss different issues, put on the table, we're allowed to disagree, and we have a discussion, and we include the live chat in it, so we'll try to take your comments, stuff like that. This is leading up to the Cyber City Conference, and the website is on the screen. Now, the website's kind of a skeleton, but you're going to find the information there that you need to find as the conference rolls along, which is March 20th, 21st. And all the brothers on the screen, as well as the aforementioned MJ, will all be speaking at the conference. When I say at, I mean that figuratively because it's online, it's all digital. We've eliminated essentially the problem of logistics by making it virtual. So all you got to do is, instead of walk into a room, you log into a YouTube channel or Facebook Live platform. We're going to tell you more about that, but this is leading up to it to give you the vibe, to promote it, but also to have a good discussion. So, how did this first come about? I'm trying to remember. I think it was it when we three were on the phone together? You, me, Alfredo? Was it? I thought we were having a discussion together, and we were kind of like, that could be a great show. I think. Is that what happened?
You're talking about the cyber?
Yeah, sorry. No, not Cyber City Conference. The idea of the topic. Sorry, man. I just the idea of like talking about, this is the time for us to get united. We got to get united. And let's beat sort of the atheists and the Kemets and the Israelites to the punch when it comes to true unity. That kind of. But I thought we were talking about something where it came out naturally. I was like, that's a good topic, but I don't know. I don't remember. No one else remembers either?
We were talking about that last summer when you were here.
Really? What did we say?
Yeah.
Inform me, man. I don't even remember now. Okay, I talked.
Yeah, we were Roosters, man. We were chopping it up and just kind of went when we were in the parking lot after we left Roosters. We talked for like another hour, and yeah, you were talking about how much you wanted to unite, just the urban apologists, and just how and you were talking about different channels and things like that, and how big of an influence they have, and how it's important for us urban apologists unite to have a kind of a bigger influence. And I compared it to like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
All right.
So, yeah, so it's like you have your single Power Rangers, but at the end you have like the Megatron that deals with like the biggest opponent.
Well,
I would rather the Voltron reference better, but it's cool.
I would go Captain Planet.
Oh, don't even, bro.
Man,
Man.
That's too bad. That's too bad, Adam.
He's getting all
Captain Planet.
Oh man, bro.
No, negative.
Yeah, Megazord. Yeah, I said Megatron. Zord.
That's
Megazord. Yeah.
Nah, but that's right. Well, so it's been a thing for a while, and back at that stage, it was even sort of more of a I don't know if I want to say pipe dream, but now it's like stuff is really moving, and it's like a necessity. That's why I put on this thing, like Christians got to unite or die. You know what I'm saying? Because we have a situation where like it's vital that we unite right now. It's vitally important because you have so many different attacks, and there's sort of so few of us involved in these fields that if we're not unified, if we're not using synergy, or if we're even worse, fighting, we're going to have a much harder road, And so we're trying to do some of that by becoming better and better friends, by hanging out with each other, by meeting up with each other at conferences, by going out of our way to link up, to connect, and by doing things online, and by doing things like this. And so I think that's a good thing. Alfredo, what do you think? You've been involved with this stuff for a while. what do you think the future holds as far as unity and urban apologetics?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's great. I think one of the reasons why it's important is that it shows other people that they're not alone in this fight. You know, a lot of times Satan will like to tell you that it's just you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about. But to be able to see other like-minded individuals getting together like today is an encouragement. It's like you're not, well, you might be crazy, but you're not crazy and alone.
Yeah, you're not.
You know, there's other crazy people with you who love the Bible and love to geek out and nerd and really want to have a proper defense for the gospel. And, you know, sometimes you might be the only Bible nerd in your church, maybe, you know, and you could feel ostracized. It's like, well, no, you know, welcome to the island of misfit toys. You know, we're right here for you, you know, so.
What you smiling about, Adam? You over there smiling about something?
No, I you know, the island of misfit toys, man. I mean, you know, that's I think all of us have probably felt that way at some point. You know, so I think it's a really good reference. You know what I mean? And it kind of just to piggyback on that, and to what you were saying earlier about kind of some of the infighting. I think, you know, when we make this effort to just, you know, collab and get together and link up, then it really cuts out a lot of, you know, the foolishness as far as people, you know, going back and forth unnecessarily. Which, I mean, we're being honest, we've seen that in the urban apologetics community, you know what I mean? And the mission that we have is bigger than any one particular platform, certainly bigger than any beef that we might have with one another. So I think stuff like this really helps to kind of, you know, keep that to a minimum and make sure people are staying focused on, you know, what it is that we're about, you know? So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to have beef with me because I told you wasn't professional to eat a sandwich?
Oh, well, I mean, we have beef. It's just not going to be in public, man. You know.
I don't mind if you have beef, just don't have the roast beef on the show. So. All right, so let's talk about our ideological competitors. We've seen the Hebrew Israelites do Hebrew unity summits. In the long run, do you guys have predictions or thoughts? The Hebrew Israelites are clearly growing. Are they going to be able to unify? Do you think? What do you guys think? What have you seen so far? Because, you know, it's fascinating. We're talking about us, but I kind of wonder what about the ideological competitors we're kind of grappling with. They're not the only group. We're going to talk about some other groups. What do you guys think?
Well, you said as far as the Hebrew Israelites, I don't see any way that they're going to unify. I mean, you know, anything could happen, but I think that there's a lack of sanctification, quite frankly. You know what I'm saying? To where these dudes. Many groups of them anyway are fueled by, you know, certain I'll just say types of anger and tension, you know what I'm saying, that doesn't allow them to play well with others. It's just that simple. You know what I'm saying? I think you got, you know, so you have personalities where people are trying to build their own kingdoms, you know what I mean? And, you know, when you don't have something to, you know, submit yourself to properly, then you know, those kind of things run amok and it will splinter any organization, whether it be Hebrew Israelites or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
So hypothetically, Christians should have sort of a leg up on the ideological competition because hypothetically, you know, you mentioned, you know, a lot of these dudes aren't really being sanctified. The process of the Holy Spirit making them more Christ-like is not evident. I mean, a lot of these guys don't even believe the Holy Spirit's a person. And so hypothetically, Christians should have a leg up as we grow in maturity, we become long-suffering, right?
I think that too, but maybe even more fundamental than that, I think what your foundation is matters. Mm-hmm. I'm saying like we know that when it comes to the Hebrew Israelites, their foundation is not Christ. I'm saying, and it's not biblical truth. For the simple fact that you'll have non-Messianic Hebrew Israelites and then Messianic Hebrew Israelites tag team against, you know, other groups or what have you. You know what I'm saying, and they both recognize each other as being in right standing as Israelites, even though they disagree on Christ, who's the central figure of the scriptures. You see what I'm saying? And prophecy and so forth. So we know their foundation is in Christ. So just by virtue of that, if, you know, given that Christianity is founded on truth, is founded on Christ, you know, you can't have a stronger foundation than that. You know, so therefore, you know, to me, they're always going to be, you know, coming up short with respect to their ability to unify and be stable. That's the thing. You can come together. I'm saying, but stability is the other piece too. You're saying moving forward, yeah.
I think their unity is contingent upon our lack of unity, right? Because a lot a lot of what is the allure to that is the church hurt, the dysfunctionality that they might have experienced, which leads them to be more attracted to this other worldview. I feel like if we do our job, and we unify and we really link arms, the things that attract people to those type of philosophies and worldviews become less attractive as time goes on.
Right.
Yeah, I want to jump. I want to jump in for what Alfredo is saying. And when I was thinking, just as Adam and Alfredo was talking, it's like I think the biggest thing is just to, as urban apologists, is to really push and challenge Christians to just simply read their Bibles. And it's like, with a Hebrew Israelite, they do proof test double dutch, right? So they just keep hopscotch, really. They keep jumping from proof test to proof text. And I think just from an urban apologist standpoint, I think it's good to challenge just Christians to say, look, there's ways to really dispel a lot of the Black Hebrew Israelite or Hebrew Israelite movement, but actually looking at a piece of text that they say or they use toward their apologetic and say, well, whoa, hold on, pipe down. That is absolutely not correct as far as the correct hermeneutic in that. And let's dissect that from a hermeneutical exegetical standpoint. And I think just simply reading your Bible and challenging Christians to read their Bibles, that is, I think that's the first step of unification within the Christianity.
Yeah, so as we grow in the knowledge of Christ, which is a prayer you often see in the epistles of the Apostle Paul, grow in the knowledge of Christ, we should grow in unity. Now, some of this we understand is hypothetical. We know there's missteps, and we know the church isn't perfect. We know Christians aren't perfect because none of us sitting here are perfect. We know all that. But I think part of what we want to do is even kind of call for more unity. And it's not unity based upon some kind of shallow, hey, we all like hip hop or anything like that. This is like supposed to be a deep unity based upon Christ. And, that is a foundation, as Adam brought up this excellent point, man. These brothers' foundation's really not Christ. And so since it's not, and that's why they like kind of camp bash, I think, so much, because it is like this guy's kingdom and that kingdom. And so, they can't, ISUPK is the home of the truth. If it's of any other group, Yahweh, God's not
General Yohana.
Yeah, if it's not of Yohana, this who's second only to Christ, then God's not dealing with it. Don't try this at home. We are not affiliated with any other Hebrew Israelite camp. So, what is that? And MJ Jackson brings up and says the BHI Foundation is supposedly culture. And, they really can't even agree on what Hebrew culture is. That's why you see, Ron Shields, for example, dipping into, West Africa now to find about, okay, how do we live out what our culture is? And then other people disagree. You can rock the Star of David, you can't. And that becomes this foundational issue for them. That's like, well, this guy wears the Star of David. This guy allows wearing women in pants. Now, again, we know Christians do that, but it seems like... I remember I was talking to Pastor Mason one time, and he said, it seems like the Hebrew Israelites are genetically, I forget how he phrased it, but I made up my own version. Now I forget whose version is which. It's like one of those things. But it was something along the lines of they're genetically modified to break. They're like engineered to fracture, meaning because they make everything an essential, and so they'll split over it. Kind of like independent fundamentalist Baptists, the stereotype of them. And so because of that, boom, boom, boom. Now, we know we've seen some of the unity camps, and we see, don't get me wrong, I know some Hebrew Israelites going to be like, no, you forgot about Ron Dalton had this thing over here, and he gave an award to Dow, Hebrew of the Year, and Dow's not even in his clique. And you forgot about Alazar traveling around building with AOC and AOY. You forgot, I know someone, but as a general rule, we kind of see what's up. And the Christians got to be... We got to be like, our foundation is Christ. We can really do this. And part of that's going to be accepting differences, not just cultural differences, but there is going to be some theological differences. Now, I think some theological differences can limit. Maybe the greater they are, maybe people might work together less, but hopefully there's no spite. You know what I'm saying? But I think we can all recognize that because we've seen some theological infighting sometimes amongst urban apologists, and we're like, man, we're too small to fight on a practical level, right? On a practical level.
Well, but I think to your point, though, that's why foundations are so key, in this discussion, because the thing is, personalities can get in the way no matter what your worldview is. There's going to be differences, like you said, in terms of, our theological traditions and so forth, where we're coming from, theological backgrounds might be a better way to put it. But the thing is, just in principle, you can't have a more firm foundation than the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if we all were to galvanize around, Christ without those kinds of dissensions and discord, and they all galvanize and group around culture, identity, however they want to view it. I'm saying they're still not in as solid a position as we are, because they're, at the end of the day, their worldview is not founded on the truth. You can't outpace the truth. I'm saying, when it comes to being a foundation for unity. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, we've seen, just to be explicit about it, what reform versus not reform, or what different people's perspective is on what it means to be woke and whether or not it's biblical and those kind of things, the more political type stuff. We've seen dissension revolving around those kind of things. But at the end of the day, fundamentally, I don't believe that any of those kinds of conflicts are stronger than the blood of Christ. I'm saying, and so I think at the end of the day, we're in a much better position to overcome those kinds of things, rather than somebody whose worldview is fundamentally predicated on falsehood at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you as far as the personality piece too, because I'm really big into soteriology, and Vocab and I, we don't agree, soteriologically. We've had discussions about that, as far as that's concerned, but he's a friend, and so at the end of the day, it's like unification within us as Christians against, outside forces like Hebrew Israelites, like Kemetic and things like that, far surpasses, baptism versus water baptism, or, reform versus, not reform. That far surpasses that. And I think at the end of the day, the unity within Christianity, it's kind of like, I've had podcasts, about soteriology, and I compare it to like, my brother outside in the backyard compared to the neighbor that's trying to bully. You know what I mean? Like, me and my brother can go at it in the back, and that's all love. At the end of the day, we're gonna be in the same room. We're gonna duke it out, whatever we need to do. But we're both gonna come together, because bully from across the street, like, he's trying to invade our space now. Now it's like, oh, whoa, hold on. Now it's something. Now it's about to go down. Now, me and brother are teaming up against, bully across the street, because you don't go there. You don't mess with us like that. Me and brother, brothers fight all the time. You know what I mean? But at the same time, when it comes to opponents across, when they try to bully and try to invade, the church, and with the topics that we're talking about now, especially with Hebrew Israelites going into churches and trying to proselytize inside churches, that's huge. Like, we have to shield ourselves as Christians and be apologetically sound, so we can't get to the point of like just acting dumb and being dumb and just unsound biblically when a Hebrew Israelite walks inside a church and wants to discuss Bible, and us only, like, as Adam would say, or Alfredo, one of y'all said, like, the nerd out. I think it was Alfredo. Theologically, only the select few of us know how to compete with them. Like, it has to grow. We have to get to the point where it's just not a few people that's willing to compete biblically or discuss biblically to someone who's an opposition theologically, and that's huge.
Yeah,
that's right. I got special effects, bro.
Nice.
No, I just want to throw in there just to to kind of really piggyback on what you're saying. I'm not going to say whose church this was, but I was talking to an individual, and at his church, they had some Hebrew Israelites trying to run up in there. You know what I'm saying? And just to be quite frank, a lot of times, not just Hebrew Israelites, but some of these other groups, they want to go after the women first, because they, for whatever reason, perceive them to be more vulnerable or whatever. And I was talking to this individual. He said, man, the elders didn't even necessarily have to get involved, because the sisters in the church was wearing these dudes out. with the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? They thought they was gonna run up, you know what I'm saying, and take advantage, but these sisters was in that word, man. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, I mean, to your point, that's why it's so important, I think, that we equip the saints. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love outreach, I love evangelism and all that kind of stuff, but much of what we do with apologetics is really about discipleship. It's really about equipping the saints so that when they are in these situations, you know what I'm saying, they're able to contend for the faith, man. You know what I'm saying? That's where it's at. And if we do our job, then it makes it a lot harder for these other groups to get in here and mix it up. Last thing I'm gonna say about this is like, and I'm not comparing any of these persons or groups to like rodents or anything like that. I'm not. Let me just make this clear. However, if you have an infestation of some sort, then the best thing that you can do to get rid of it is to cut off the food source. You know what I'm saying? You cut off the source of water or the source of nourishment, whatever it is that those things are coming in to get, you cut it off. You know what I'm saying? You put your food away, wash the dishes, whatever you need to do, right? And I think it's the same way with the church. I mean, I always forget this guy's name. He talks about the cults or the unpaid bills of the church. We need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence on our side. You know what I'm saying? So we're not feeding these other groups with leftovers of our, unpreparedness or lack of love toward one another, or whatever it may be.
So Adam,
they're looking for it real quick.
Adam wants to
start that vulnerability too.
Adam wants to.
They're looking for that vulnerability because they'll use it as leverage of saying, okay, well we got those Christians at this particular church. That goes to show that they don't know the Bible. They use that vulnerability for leverage. Right. We need to equip ourselves as much to be strong biblically that we don't allow that much leverage. To someone from the Hebrew Israelite movement or the Kemetic movement.
It's a two-pronged attack, right? Because once someone is confident within their orthodoxy, they have to now be confident in their orthopraxy, right? Yep. It's about the application. And I feel like that's where, because the unity for us is implicit in our orthodoxy. We are commanded to be united. I am commanded to think of others better than myself. Right? I'm commanded to serve others, and if we all develop that same conviction, how can we not be united? Because we're serving our God, because this is what he wants us to do. Luke chapter 9, Jesus says, if anyone comes after me, he must deny himself and carry his cross daily. So that means I got to be united even when I don't feel like it. Right? Whereas when you look at the atheist community, all they have is feelings and preferences.
Well,
they can't rally behind that.
Let's talk about them next. But Adam, you said for some reason they always, it seems like, go after women first. It's funny. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 6. For among them are those who creep into households and capture weak women, burdened with sins and led astray by various passions, always learning and never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth. Now, this is men and women here together, because if you notice, verse 8 says, just as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so these men also oppose the truth. Men corrupted of mind and disqualified regarding the faith, but they will not get very far, for their folly will be plain to all, as was that of those two men. And so now here, Adam, Brother Alfredo Valentin, BK Apologist, you just brought up the atheists and about them having unity. Now you're saying you, as a general rule, make a prediction that they might not be able to really truly unify. Why is that?
Well, their worldview stops them from doing that, because again, for us, part of our discipleship is denying ourselves so we could be more like Christ, right? So we have to put our feelings aside for the greater good of the gospel. They don't have that element, right? Because the minute they don't feel like being united, they just don't be united. And you can't really call them on the carpet and say what you did was wrong, because there is no real right or wrong in their worldview. And if they even begin to be united, they have to literally take a page from our book to do so, which actually gives us points. It's like, you see, you gotta be like us for this to work, right? And they're not willing to give us that. So,
right. Yeah, that's well said, man. You could ask the questions like, what do they? Unite for what? I'm saying, on atheist worldview, I mean, anything that they unite over is equally morally justified. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because there's no real morality, no objective morality anyway. So you could have a group of atheists uniting to, for the well-being of humanity, and a group of atheists. Like, matter of fact, we was talking about Richard Dawkins, I think earlier today. Wasn't the vocab or yesterday? You know what I'm saying?
It was today. I'm about to put it up on the screen right now because this.
Okay.
This is actually. We think we have cultural differences sometimes amongst Christians with maybe so-called black church, white church. We're gonna show this here in a second. This is a whole nother level of problems with cultural difference when it comes to the atheists, because this is Dawkins is kind of like the Pope of atheism. But go ahead, Adam. What would be the problem with this? I'm about to show it on the screen while you're talking. Go ahead.
Oh, is this the eugenics thing?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Well, now, see, this is a perfect example now, right? Because the thing is, now on Dawkins' worldview, I mean, if naturalism, if this physical world is all we got, right, and we're just physical beings, produced by evolution, so on and so forth. I mean, you can't say that Dawkins is wrong. You know what I'm saying? If he says eugenics will work, I mean, now I don't know what he means work towards what, but whatever he picks, it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? But let's just say that it works toward a more genetically, pure race. Sounds very Hitler-esque, by the way. You know what I'm saying? That thinking hasn't worked too well for people of African descent. You know what I'm saying? Hasn't worked out too well. As a matter of fact, we can talk about Margaret Singer, you know what I'm saying, who was also on it, right? You know what I'm saying?
I got a podcast on that, by the way.
Okay.
Hey, Chris, is that podcast on Vision Unlimited?
No, it's on Vision United.
I'm just kidding, bro. I just wanted to say, I don't know if you guys can hear on Skype, but they got these sound effects, and so it sounds epic. So I'll be like, Vision United. Okay, let me read this real quick here, Adam. British evolutionary biologist and famed atheist Richard Dawkins sparked outrage on Twitter. Everybody on Twitter is always outraged, but this time they were right. After he wrote that putting ideology and morality aside, sounds like a very atheist thing to do, eugenics or the selective breeding of humans would of course work in practice. It's one thing to deploy eugenics on ideological, political, moral grounds, Mr. Dawkins tweeted to his 2.8 million followers. Oh, man. It's quite another to conclude that it wouldn't work in practice. Of course it would. It works for cows, horses, pigs, dogs, and roses. Why on earth wouldn't it work for humans? Facts ignore ideology. This tweet sparked a wave of criticism from both sides of the political aisle, with many people pointing out the racist history of the eugenics movement and how Adolf Hitler used it to justify the forced sterilization and mass murder of hundreds of thousands of Jews and others who were determined sick or defective. Mr. Dawkins determined to further explain his argument, insisting that he deplores eugenics, but nonetheless thinks it would work on humans just as it does on animals. For those determined to miss the point, I deplore the idea of eugenic policy, he wrote. By the way, just want to stop here. Why? Why does he deplore the idea of eugenic policy? Everyone can see it. It's on the screen.
Yeah.
If it would work for evolutionary advantage, why would you deplore it? Are you anti-evolutionary? Dawkins, are you anti-progress? Are you anti-science? I simply said deploring it doesn't mean it wouldn't work. Just as we breed cows to yield more milk, we could breed humans to run faster or jump higher. But heaven forbid that we should do it. But who forbid? Heaven forbid! Does not he see the irony of heaven forbidding something? Oh man, this is epic. A eugenic policy would be bad. I'm combating the illogical step from X would be bad. So X is impossible. He added, it would work in the same sense as it works for cows. Okay, what's up with the cows? Let's fight it on moral grounds. Deny obvious scientific facts and we lose, or at best derail the argument. Mr. Dawkins' explanations didn't go over well with users either. Defiant, he later called out the hunger for likes and Twitter nastiness against what he described as a rational argument. This is epic. What do you guys think of this? Go ahead.
Well, let me just throw this in, because actually he's being completely consistent.
Yep.
With his worldview, specifically with regard to the question of what is man. Now, I got another quote right quick. It's a real short one, but this is from Charles Darwin, in a work that he wrote entitled The Descent of Man. Now, Charles Darwin says, quote, at some future period, not very distant as measured by centuries, the civilized races of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace the savage races throughout the world. Mind you, he's talking about people like African descent, obviously non-European, so, end quote on that. So, my whole point is when it comes to applying, what you see in nature, as far as, the survival of the fittest kind of a model to human interactions and how we interact with one another, Dawkins is being completely consistent with his forefather, Charles Darwin. Because they would have rocked together on that journey. Matter of fact, if Darwin was around today, he probably would have liked it and retweeted it because it's completely consistent with exactly.
We need to come up with with an account called like racist Darwin and retweet all the racist atheist stuff we find online. It's like Darwin with his beard, but he's got his fist up like this, and he retweets everything racist the atheists say. That'd be freaking epic. But it's funny you said he's being consistent, which he was, until he said, heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid.
This man went and said heaven
the
forbid.
Heaven that I don't believe in forbid.
Right.
Well, I mean, what's up there that's going to forbid you from doing anything, Dawkins? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The flying spaghetti monster, of course.
There you go.
I mean,
man.
I'm surprised he didn't bring up the Ubermensch.
What'd you say, Alfredo? Hold on. What'd you say, Alfredo?
I said I'm surprised he didn't bring up the Ubermensch.
Oh, right, yeah.
The Superman and the
right.
He actually did. We could run faster, jump higher.
Right. He did bring it. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, this.
Right. But now, so this is a real thing because I've been watching more stuff about from different black atheists or whatever. Matter of fact, I was telling you earlier, Vocab. There's this one forum. It's hilarious to me. There's like this one video on YouTube where you got like a prominent black atheist guy named Anthony Penn. Another black atheist, Sakibu Hutchinson, and these two are on a panel with Richard Dawkins and another gentleman, white guy. I don't know who he is, but it's so funny because the whole panel was geared around building bridges between black atheists and white atheists, quite frankly. And it's funny because there's like these awkward moments in the conversation where like Richard Dawkins and this other white guy are trying to like put kind of just play their woke card and just make statements against like slavery and all this kind of stuff, and it just comes off like real clunky and awkward. They clearly have no idea what they're talking about with respect to the history and the culture and whatnot, but they're trying to play that card. And so I said that to say, going back to your previous point, there's this same divide. Whatever they want to say about black people and white people in the church, I think you have an even deeper divide when it comes to atheism, because you don't even have the resources to pull back and get people together. I mean, in Christ, we can unite over that regardless of what your racial background is. But on the atheistic paradigm, you can have some cats that's rocking with Dawkins and like, man, screw these other people. Let's get rid of them. Breed them out. And then you have other people on the other side of the corner like, no, we don't think so. And there's nobody, who has any leverage, any objective leverage to say who's right and who's wrong. So how do you unify over something like that?
Well, and if one thing you want to do is breed out, stamp out, smoke out, smash out, right? Stamp out those who are mentally deficient. Well, Dawkins classifies belief in God as a delusion. And so...
Wrote a book about it.
Yep, I mean, he's saying it's a delusion. In fact, I don't know if a lot of people realize Dawkins is the one who gave the concept of meme currency. Right. He's the one that came up with this idea of like sort of religion as a virus of the brain, or bad ideas, or almost like viruses of the brain that gets passed through oral communication or whatever. And they're like these non-testable, non-identifiable, non-material things that are almost like slogans that get lodged in there in a way. I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but he called them memes. And I remember I used to argue with atheists and be like, why do you believe, because this is how they would explain away religion. Why do you believe in something that's not empirical in any way? And it's funny, now memes are text on top, text on bottom. But I don't know, Dawkins, I don't know if he was at that conference trying to be woke. I wonder, Dawkins, what's your opinion on eugenics? Well, morality inside, it would work. What do you guys, but I'm against it, so there,
Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid we actually try it. I mean, we won't, but we would win the Olympics, though. It's just an interesting thing. We just did the Apologetics Empire, And we kind of joked a little bit saying the atheists can never pull this off because they just fight with each other all the time. You know, I mean, even the white atheist. Now, would you add in the cultural differences? To be frank with you, of the white with the new black atheist, boy.
Yeah. No, I mean, but to your point though, like so, for example, Matt Dillon, you know what I'm saying? You know, his show, The Atheist Experience. I mean, there was a whole big issue surrounding that because I can't remember. I don't think it was him, but I think somebody on the show made a comment. I guess I don't know, disparaging, or basically saying that the LGBT paradigm for identity just doesn't work. It's not based in truth. You know what I'm saying? This is on the Atheist Experience. You know what I'm saying, and they caught a lot of flack for that. They caught a whole lot of flack for that. That was like a big deal. But again, you know what I'm saying? I mean, how do you rectify that? You just, I guess, sweep it under the rug. I mean, there's all different kinds of ways that you can see those kind of fractures. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see that there's a real overarching way to repair those kind of things that's consistent with their worldview anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because the bottom line to their worldview is, who cares?
Yeah.
Right? You say whatever you want, but then at the end of that statement is, but who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? So
Certainly not the universe, not even heaven, even though it forbids.
but
I'm trying to figure out how the moral argument kind of falls into that article that you posted, Vocab, as far as, you know, Dawkins saying something is actually bad. How does that fall into the moral argument?
Yeah, I mean, it's, well, I think it's, you know, utterly inconsistent, really. It's like, according to whose standard. But what I've seen happen, maybe Adam, you help me out on this. What I saw happen is this, because I was more dealing with atheists right at the brink of the sort of neo-atheistic explosion when you had the four horsemen of the atheistic apocalypse, you know what I'm saying? Santa Claus, Ben Stiller, Dawkins, and Hitchens, right? Who's no longer an atheist. You know, when you had those four guys, I was right there, right? And that's when some of you guys don't even know what I'm talking about. Adam knows what I'm talking about. Some people are like, what's wrong with this dude? Well, if you don't... So when you had that popping off, I was there, and it was a lot of like debate about what they were going to say about morality, because kind of relativism and postmodernism was in, but a lot of the kind of scientific aspect of these guys kind of buckled up against that, and then they felt like they couldn't adequately condemn stuff. So I just saw a lot of confusion, and then you had, you know what I'm saying, Sam Harris come out with The Moral Landscape, and I remember reading a blurb on the book where Dawkins basically said, I didn't think it could be done, but now I'm convinced you can have what is essentially objective morality using science. Like this, that's a paraphrase of his quote, but he was basically saying, like, before I didn't think he could, now, you know, Harris has convinced me. And it was basically by saying, well, we just go for what promotes human flourishing and doesn't promote harm. Like they have this standard, they say, if that's what, and we can objectively measure that. And I don't know if you guys remember, but Harris gave a pretty famous TED Talk on that issue, you know what I'm saying? And I remember, like, kind of a key moment was he showed a lady in a full burqa, and then he showed a lady, like, you know, on the Sports Illustrated cover or something like that, swimsuit edition. And he's like, and he basically said, he said something like, but I'm pretty sure we can have a balance point between these two things. And everyone's like, yeah, you know, science will tell us how much clothes women should wear, you know. I mean, it's like, if you watch the TED Talk, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I mean, The Moral Landscape, I mean, I think actually one of the best people who I've seen really interact with it a number of times is William Lane Craig. He's done a bunch of shows where he's interacted with that concept and this idea that they come up with, and I think it's really shown that it's vacuous, you know what I'm saying? It's really vacuous. And so Chris, they've got problems, and I think they've seen it, and they've tried to fix it, but long term, it just ain't going to work, you know what I'm saying?
It's a moving target. It's a moving target because at the end of the day, objective moral value is, you know, the second premise of the moral argument. You know, God is the best explanation of objective moral value, you know what I mean, or objective moral reasoning. And at the end of the day, that's always going to be a moving target within the atheist community as far as just what objective moral value is. Okay, well, it pleases the greater good. Okay, but what about this and what about that? Does this please great? You know what I mean? So you're always chasing a moving target with objective moral value that you have to add subjectivity from an atheist point of view to explain objective moral reasoning. So,
Well,
it just
what we
doesn't
need
make
to do is if we use eugenics to breed people who can run faster and jump higher, they'll be able to catch that moving target. So, hey, real quick, shout out to Carlton Franklin for the super chat. He gave a great turret quote, "Science don't say anything, scientists do." And shout out earlier, Eliza J also gave a super chat. I'll let you continue on. Just want to give those people shouts out real quick. You was about to
Yeah,
say
I was
something.
at Frank Turek. I was at Frank Turek a few weeks ago, and he used that too. But yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah. But you got
cool. I mean, kind of piggyback on your point, though. I mean, I think bringing it around to where we're trying to get at with this whole unity thing. I mean, when you think about it, Sam Harris's model for morality. I mean, it's got this kind of heavy utilitarian aspect to it. Mm-hmm. However we can bring about the most good for the most people, right? Now, the problem is, when you think about chattel slavery, for example, I'm saying there are more African Americans today, I'm saying, who are living, if you just took African Americans, I'm saying just as one block of people, I think we're like the richest nation in the world as far as the African peoples are concerned. You see what I'm saying? If you compare us to other African groups, right? And there are more people who have, benefited from the economic system, I'm saying, that was built upon, at least partially upon slavery, I'm saying, since this, slavery times till now, right? So on Sam Harris's model, there's been a bunch of people who have flourished, I'm saying, off the backs of slavery, I'm saying, the descendants of slaves to some extent, and obviously, Europeans and people who have moved to this country, millions of people, far more millions of people have benefited from the economic system that was partially built on slavery than those who suffered under slavery, during, in the antebellum South and so forth, right? So on Harris's model, you could argue that slavery was right. There's nothing really wrong with it. I'm saying, because ultimately the balance of persons who flourished, I'm saying, it turned out to be all right. I'm saying, if you want to take the atheist, perspective, right? But obviously, that's ridiculous. I'm saying that's obviously you can't just trample upon people's personhood just because later on folks will benefit more so than more people will benefit than those who were subjected to it. You know what I'm saying? And so bringing it around, when you think about atheists trying to unite now, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't. They definitely can't outpace us because you don't really have more around. I'm saying, but we should be able to consistently deal with the kinds of issues that a Christian ethic can. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be splintering all over the place. You see what I'm saying?
They can't outpace us because we've been eugenically modified to run faster. So, hey, shout out to Old Hickory 12 in here, quoting Junior Soprano. Sounds like he never had the makings of a varsity athlete. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. That's funny you did that. That's legit. Now, I want to talk about this issue because I don't know. Maybe it's the elephant in the room. I don't know. But I see, if we think there's challenges between so-called black church, so-called white church, you can use whatever terms you feel comfortable with. No one's denying there are some challenges here and there, whatever. I feel like the atheists, if there's going to be a rise of black atheism, it's going to be fascinating. How are they going to kind of interact with the larger mainstream? Because there's no foundation of Christ. There's no communion table. There's no, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with that. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys have any predictions or if you know any of rumblings. I mean, I'm very curious about that.
Well, so the scriptures talk about bearing one another's burdens, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm supposed to care to one way or the other. I'm supposed to care about you and what you're going through and be some sort of resource, whether it be through prayer, whatever. There needs to be some empathy. There needs to be some compassion from one brother to another. Now, that means that, how that should work anyway is that, when we step outside the church walls, if you're subjected to things in society that are adverse to you, that I should care about that. You see what I'm saying? That's a biblical should. Mm-hmm. But obviously with atheists, there's no real reason for the white atheists to give a crap about Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, or anything that, his African American atheist counterpart is concerned about. I'm saying whatever injustices that African American, or just African American, just wherever they may be, that black atheists, wherever they are, whatever their social concerns are, there's no reason, I'm saying, why, the white atheists really should care. I'm saying, I mean, shoot, if I'm balling out of control, and the way things are, and you're not, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing that really compels me to say, it's objectively true. I definitely need to be concerned about what you're concerned about. They just don't have that foundation. You know what I'm saying? So, and then on top of that, to be honest, and I don't know if we want to go here or not, but even the reality is not all black people have the same interests. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I run a Fortune 500 company, I may be interested in certain ways the tax code can go one way, and you might want it to go a different way if you work in minimum wage or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Like we got two different interests. Now we can't just rely on blackness to say, okay, well, we're just going to unite. Oh, well, we're both black. Well, no, we don't have the same interests. There's no overarching concern. You know what I'm saying? To where we must commit ourselves to one another in that common good. And so I think even within the black community, aside from what's going on between races, even within the black community as atheists, they just don't have the resources within that worldview to overcome those kinds of just real world challenges and differences.
Yeah, there is a diversity. I mean, some black folks are like crazy about pro wrestling, you know? It's like,
oh Lord.
Bro, hey, show us your belt. You got some belts behind you?
I got 3 of them behind me.
We can't see it. Where is it? Can you show it?
There, be right there.
Oh yeah. Do you got any impersonations, bro?
Let me tell you something, brother.
Wow.
How you got to do it? How you got to do?
Station where I ain't even gonna go there. You know that famous Booker steak.
Oh, chill, easy.
oh, Adam, dang, you're talking about that again?
Easy, bro. This guy.
You love it.
You gotta watch Adam, man. What's going on?
Adam loves that. Hey, shout out to also Greg Olson. I missed you in the super chat earlier, but you notice with the wrestling impersonations with Chris, all you gotta do is ask.
That's right.
All you gotta do is ask. You get Adam.
Me and Sam Shamoon. We're gonna go 1-on-1, man. Because
that'd be great. That would be. I would like to see that.
Yeah.
And he fights dirty.
I'd rather see that. I'd rather see that than a rematch of Bantu and Jabari. Hey, I'm just kidding, man. Just kidding. Hey, Adam, what's up though? You said balling out of control, bro. I gotta be honest. I thought you was balling out of control until that brick background started falling down behind you, bro.
What's walls of Jericho.
What's up, bro? Is this?
The trumpets, huh?
Hey, you better check. There might be some little ants marching around there or something. You know what I'm saying?
He got me too, man. I was like, man, that's a dope background. You in some type of like super dungeon basement, man. Like that's pretty dope.
His loft apartments.
Pay no attention to the man, but pay no attention to the wall behind the bricks. Nah, we know Adam's balling. We know Adam's balling out of control though, because in the beginning of the show he didn't have one but 2 sandwiches. So.
Right.
Nah, but you know what's gonna be interesting? Speaking of like title matches and bouts, what do you guys think is gonna happen when we're gonna get more of like debates, perhaps between black atheists and Hebrew Israelites?
Ooh.
That's I never really thought about it. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, Polite is sort of like does that count?
Well, I mean, he's one of those. I consider him to be one of those idiosyncratic black atheists, where I think he really, when he says atheist, I think what he really means is he doesn't subscribe to the Abrahamic faith. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's well, at least I mean, now granted he could have changed, but that's the sense I've seen him use it. But if he describes his worldview, sometimes it sounds like pantheism, kind of panentheism. So, but I mean, but to your point, yeah, I think that'd be kind of interesting. I don't know if we've really had a lot of black atheists. I don't know. Alfredo, what about Brother Alt? I mean, has he gone up against the Hebrew Israelites like that, or?
I mean, he always rants and rails against them, but like a former debate, not really. I mean, I've seen him have talks with Divine, and Divine kind of washes him a little bit real quick, but
Okay.
But not a former debate though.
Okay.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it didn't really bring the energy to them like that. I mean, I could be, but then again, it's not really. I mean, I think more recently. I take that back. Actually, I take that back. So I think recently, Garfield. I know he flip flops, but I mean, I recently heard him refer to himself as atheist. He just dropped a book. Actually, he just dropped a book. Like, maybe it hadn't officially released, but I know he's got a book that's either come out.
Yeah, it's coming out. Where he
it's coming out during the debate. It's gonna drop.
That's going to be the release. Okay, yeah, and that's a whole book against Hebrew Israelism. So that would be,
But he's agnostic though.
But
he leans towards more agnostic, I think.
I saw an atheist the other day though. Now I don't know if maybe he goes back and forth. I'm not really sure, but I don't know.
But like you said, Adam, a lot of times when they say atheist, it's really we don't believe in the Abrahamic faith. That's kind of what they mean when they say atheist.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to ask. Like, what do you guys think the biggest points of contention would be, in a black atheist versus Hebrew Israelite debate?
Well, what I'd like to see? I'd like to see the atheists really go after him on DNA stuff. I'd like to see some of the more scientifically minded atheists really go after him on that. That's just my little wishing well. But go ahead, Brother Adam.
No, it'd be interesting. Well, I know if you're talking about like an atheist who's kind of in the conscious community and really circulates that, then they're probably like this whole concept of spookism. You know what I'm saying? That would probably be one sticking point of just like any sort of like spiritual claim, like say like Revelation, God revealed himself in the scripture, so anything like that, anything they consider to be spookism. I think they probably would go there. The other thing is too, I'm probably just the veracity of the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? They probably would try to attack that. And then definitely, I've seen them. Some people go at whether or not the Exodus occurred or things like that. I've seen them kind of take shots at that. So
show me the bodies. Where's the bodies? Where's the bodies of Abraham? Where's the
yeah.
Well, we're gonna do that. We're gonna have to root for our Hebrew Israelite friends because I'm not gonna be like them. Like sometimes I see when the tables are turned, it's like they root against Christians no matter what. But if it's about that kind of stuff, I don't have no problem being like, all right, go ahead, man, defend the scripture. But half these Hebrew Israelites can't defend the scripture because they'll be like, well, what do you think of Paul? And they'll be like, well, I don't think Paul's the Bible anyway. So.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense to me.
But we've dipped in and out of it, but we haven't talked about unity. We were going to talk about a couple groups amongst Christians, which we'll circle around back to that. Hebrew Israelites to an extent. Of course, black atheism and atheism proper, or whatever, mainstream, I don't know how to say it. You guys know what I'm saying. And then the Kemets, kind of larger conscious community. I don't know as much as you three in this area, but from what I've seen is the platform building and the Kemet side of things is like kind of out of control. And so this is just my outsider perspective. And so it seems like there's a high level of individualism despite the fact of what they say. Plus, Adams really hit me off to these big differences between kind of these spooky Kemets and then these kind of like atheists with Kemetic glaze. And I think that's a massive chasm. I don't even know. Like, I think that's huge. Irreconcilable. And then if you talk about unity amongst them and some of the other so-called larger conscious community, just like Jabari said, when it comes to Hebrew Israelites, if they're over here saying Africans are Hamites and a curse, like Jabari said, I don't know how there's coming back from that. I don't think come back from that family, what I'm saying? So, but what about, conscious community, like, the Kemets? I mean, I don't know, man.
Alfredo could definitely break this down. I'm gonna just say something real quick, but I mean, Alfredo, we've been seeing these dudes cannibalize each other for months. Yeah. I mean, ever since the Bantu Jabari debate, like I think some of those kind of rifts that were under the surface seem to be kind of like really, coming to the forefront. But I'll just say real quick. I mean, to your point, like even amongst like the what I call African spiritualists, like those who really take the spiritual side seriously, more so than maybe somebody who would consider themselves to be an atheist. Even amongst them, there's dissensions. There's different schools of thought. You know what I'm saying? They don't all agree. You know what I'm saying? And for whatever reason, they tend to keep themselves kind of quiet. They're kind of like their own like little silos. So you don't really see a whole clashes in public. But that's there. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if they try to surface and make some moves publicly, I would expect to see those clashes come to the forefront. But yeah, Farrell, you want to talk about? I mean,
the dissensions is actually part of their plan, like because the real bottom line for them is to expand their metrics, right? Because unfortunately, a lot of people in this community, it's a cottage industry, right? They've created this ecosystem, and it's based on sensationalism and hyperbolic speaking, So if they need to devour each other, if that's going to gain more views, then that's what I'm going to do. right? If I can't get a Christian, if I can't beat up Pastor Porkchop, then I'll beat up Hotep Atum Ray for something, because I need to get my views up. Because that's what's really I hate to say it, that's the bottom line.
So you're saying like I know there's certain like video series, and now it's transferred more online, where the platforms are built upon beef amongst hip hop artists. Like I guess Vlad TV, before he was doing these interviews, which if you notice, he's always trying to get people to talk trash about each other in his interviews. Did you hear what Eminem said about? Did you hear what he still does that? But like I guess before he did that, he did like these beef series is all about beef. You're saying like that's kind of built into the Kemetic online community. I didn't really know that that was like that.
Yes, it's always been that way.
And you know what?
For the most part, get out.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Matt Jackson brought this to my attention the other day. Now I'd have to think about it. I'm not sure like how new it is, but there does now seem to be like this generational beef. You know what I'm saying, amongst Kemetic. And the reason
I noticed, right.
You got like these OGs like Baba Haru. You got James Small, Infu DC, and then you're going back to Dr. Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, some of these big name guys. You know what I'm saying, who were the forefathers of somebody like a Jabari or what's that guy's name, Rob Warren, or whoever it may be. You know what I'm saying? So you got like OGs, and some of the young guys up and coming are looking back at the OGs material like, man, y'all was pseudo or just way off. You know what I'm saying? They're looking at, I'm not saying it. I'm saying these are things being said by their own people. You know what I mean? So like a Dr. Ben, they'll get at him for not having citations and this or that, or they'll say, Dr. Clark was wrong about da 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 da. And so anyway, my whole point is you've got like these young, Kemetic atheists, Kemetic flavor atheists, or just Kemetics coming up, and they're questioning the OGs, and people like Jabari, has to feel some kind of way about it.
Right.
It's like because you got like this ancestral honor thing that's part of their, heritage or their worldview or whatever, ideology or whatever. And so it's like you can't trample on the OGs because they're the ancestors, but at the same time, it's like, well, fam, but if they put out misinformation, what are you supposed to do? Right. And it's really at the heart, or at least to some extent, at the heart of this debate coming between Jabari and Garfield. So I think it's a lot of interesting, things going on there. But
I mean, they go through seasons of discontent, right? Because for a time they'll be like, let's bang on the Nuwabians, right? Then it's like, all right, so let's bang on the nation of God and earth. All right, so for the fall, we're gonna bang on the Hebrews. They're like, let's not forget the Christians. Let's bang on. Like they go through like seasons. Yeah. Because this is what captivates people. Because everybody wants to see a fight.
Right. He's all like, banging on the Wabians is so hot this fall.
No, but what's funny about that? So I interviewed, shout out to my man Chris Broussard from the King movement. I was doing the King Talks podcast a couple of years ago, and I actually interviewed Son Netter, you know what I'm saying, a couple of years back. And he was talking about, now this is before things was really coming together with the debate and all that kind of stuff. But he was talking about how they used to really bang on the Moors like a lot because the Moors would never fight back. So they could just say whatever they want to say. But then all of a sudden, the Moors really started putting some guys out there who was, busting back at them. And then, so they kind of chilled out for a while. You know what I'm saying? So now it's kind of back and forth like Alfredo said. But his point was that it's the same thing with the Christians. Like they go ahead and just go at Christians all the time because Christians don't fight back. He actually said that. You know what I'm saying? Man. And so it's not even about truth, really. You know what I'm saying? It's not even about it's not about unity. It's about whoever's in vogue. You know what I'm saying? To in their mind get that work at that time. Right.
Shout out to Super Chatters Connor, Corrence Chandler, and Cordell, fellow Columbus, Ohio. And wow, we got 3 C's up in there. We got Connor, Corrence, and Cordell. Shout out to y'all. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Reading the Bible is vital.
I mean, we haven't even really kind of brought up Nawabians and Moors. It's like it's a whole other, faction.
I mean, they're kind of under that umbrella of the conscious community.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't. Now this is just my perspective. I mean, I can't say this for sure. This is me pulling out the crystal ball here. I think like groups like the Nawapians. Some of these kind of other fringe groups, I give them about 5 to 10 years. I don't think most of them will really be around, quite frankly. I think what they'll do is they'll probably dissolve into other groups like atheism. I think atheism is, unfortunately, unless the Lord should intervene, I think atheism is really going to take off, and that people are going to start to see like, yeah, New Orleans is a bunch of bull crap. I'm going to ride with Richard Dawkins now. I really think that's what's going to happen. Now I think the Hebrew Israelites will probably still be around unless the Lord should intervene. But I think a lot of those groups are probably going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, and that's where I want to chime in. I agree with that. I think seemingly from just kind of like the trajectory, it seems like a lot of them are going to kind of branch off into atheism, because there's a few subsets that I noticed, but a couple particularly. You have the Kemet, who was the former Christian, right, who said, okay, well, Christianity was false because of X, Y, and Z, and now I'm the netter, the force within me, and things like that, and they embrace Ptah and so forth. It's all from within, right? Because Christianity proposed this God of who just wasn't there for me, and then I had to realize that was within myself. That was kind of Jabari's experience. He used to be a Catholic, and it was kind of his deal. The wife he became, started embracing Kemet, and then you have someone like an Ankh West, who's more of a atheistic, Kemet type of subscriber, who actually opposes, in a lot of ways, Jabari. And there was like an onslaught of people who was just banging on Jabari after that debate, especially after like the Wikipedia references and things like that. People didn't feel like he was a good representation and things like that. And so someone like an Ankh West is like, what, we don't need God at all. We don't even need any type of form of God. And so we don't even have to refer ourselves to the divine. I'm all that's necessary. So I do see that. I do see kind of a trajectory on to an embracing of atheism from that.
I think so, man. And then too, like some of these groups don't really have a coherent end game. You know what I'm saying? None of these groups have the same end game anyway. You know what I'm saying? Despite these calls, they don't. I mean, the Hebrew Israelites' vision of where they're trying to go is very different than, say, the Moors. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just fundamentally different. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the Kemetics. I mean, they're not necessarily interested. So I mean, to your point, Hebrew Israelites, they don't care nothing about Hamites per se. Well, at least I'll say some large factions of Hebrew Israelites, right?
And there's no coming back from that family.
There's no. I mean, Jabari's right about that.
I know he is. When he said that, I mean, I tease Jabari, but I have a ton of respect for Jabari actually, because I feel like he tries to legitimately stand on his square or whatever, even though like it may cost him. And I like him on a personal level as far as when I talk to him and stuff. But like when he said that, I was like, yeah, well, that's true. Like, that's a major problem, That's fascinating. It's funny, something you just mentioned. Someone mentioned in the super chat. Let me bring this to you, Adam, and everybody, because it relates somewhat to what you just said, Adam, about end game and those types of things, which is important. What's the telos? What's the end goal? What does eschatology look like on Black atheism? What is eschatology? Everyone, there's some kind of idea of what the end, check this out. QCB TBX says this. These groups devour one another because there's no objective body of doctrine to which they can appeal. He says partly. Maybe they'll develop that. Thoughts. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no objective standard. Now, the Hebrew Israelites do, but they got problems. You got the Tanakh only. But he's saying part of it is, like, what really is the foundation. I think that's part of what we were saying.
Well, to your point, I mean, so I think it depends on the Hebrew Israelites have the best chance of kind of forming some sort of mainline core doctrine. When it comes to Kemetics, it gets real loosey-goosey, dog, because even Jabari will admit that some of the things that they teach and practice don't necessarily trace all the way back to Kemet. He even says that. I'm saying they'll appeal to things, aspects of Hinduism and things of that. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it gets real eclectic, when you start dealing with like the Kemetics and some of these other groups. You know what I mean? So I think, I can see the Hebrew Israelites, I mean, in theory, I'm saying, because they do have a central text that they could, theoretically rally around. But again, with the Kemetics, I mean, you're pulling from all different types of worldviews. I mean, you might, and to be honest, even just within the Kemetic tradition, right? You have some coffin text that may say one thing, and then you have some other, text from some proprietors that says something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then some aspects are ambiguous. You can interpret it one way or the other. I'll give you a
certain gods went out of vogue, come in vogue, right?
Right.
The homie tried to introduce a version of monotheism. Didn't Jabari say something like this? Maybe I read it wrong or heard it wrong, but like Adam, and I know you're about to finish thought, so I want to hand it over to you. But like when he was kind of saying, there was a kind of a primary deity for each city. And so us looking back to the ancient Kemetic tradition, like we know how not to fight with each other because we've already got like basically religious plurality within our system. He seemed to kind of be saying that, which I'm sitting there like, what is your foundation then? Like you're like kind of saying there's not even cohesiveness within your foundation. That's different between, do you sprinkle or immerse? We're talking about like very foundational things, I think. Do you worship the guy with the jackal head or the crocodile head? You know what I'm saying? Pick your animal god. Oh, well, they don't really exist anyway. But yet I wear red and black to channel their power. So I don't know.
That's true. I mean, no, but it's, you take a jet. No, I mean, but to your point though, I mean, like, so you got different deities, like Alfredo said, they come in vogue, go out of vogue, and then you also have different creationist, narratives. Like you got the Heliopolis narrative versus some other. I mean, it's like 4 main ones, if I'm not mistaken.
Hybrids. You got hybrids like Serapis.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So I mean, you're talking about millennia of shape shifting in terms of who's their most high or at least high in the pantheon or whatever, and whose role is what. I mean, they're all over the place, bro. So I mean, just within that system, I don't see any way that
we like that though. They like having a cafeteria approach to their worldview.
I agree.
They enjoy that because you can't hold me accountable because at any moment I could just switch up. Yeah.
It's true.
And
to your point, Alfredo, because you got some who are Kemetic and believe like they'll really stick to that. The idea that Kem means black, or black. So they're talking about black lands or black people. So they'll extend Kemeticism to like the whole, continent of Africa. You know what I'm saying? They're picking and choosing from all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so now you got even wider net where people can just kind of piecemeal the worldview together. You know what I'm saying?
And then there's a faction of the LGBTQ community that's into Kemeticism as well, that these guys don't want to even mention that they exist.
Watch the lettuce. Watch the lettuce. Hey, Miss Titus too makes a good point in regards to that. As far as what Jabari said, we must remember there's no distinction between a human being and a table from the Kemetic perspective, at least from Jabari. And that's where you got very Yoda,
actually Obi-Wan.
Well, because Yoda, when Luke tries to lift the X-wing out of the swamp, right, and he says, "I can't do it; it's too big," and then Yoda lifts it. And then Luke is like, I can't believe it, because he lifts the X-wing out of the swamp. And Yoda's like, that is why you fail. And he's like, does this whole spiel. Remember, he says, luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. And he pinches Luke's shoulder with his little 3 fingers. And then he says, he talks about the forces between it. I mean, I don't know, man. You're saying it's Obi-Wan, though? When did Obi-Wan say?
When Obi-Wan first introduces...
it binds the galaxy together?
Right. He first introduces what the Force is to Luke.
Yeah,
it's straight pantheism.
When Obi-Wan first started talking, and he was talking about something that binds the galaxy together, and it's dark on one side and light on the other, and yet it binds the galaxy together, I thought he was talking about duct tape at first.
You would.
So
you would.
You guys don't know you can fix everything with duct tape. Sorry, go ahead. What's up, Chris? You got bring us back.
What's the central so, and I think this is really a big kind of overarching question, even with all of these 3 camps. I mean, like you said, Adam, I think Hebrew Israelites would answer this from a more static standpoint but if you ask, what do you believe? You'll get just a smorgasbord of answers from Star Wars plug there. Okay. You'll get a smorgasbord of answers from both Kemet and Black atheists. there's no common,
There's no systematic theology.
yeah, there's no systematic, and I think that's where Christianity stands out. I mean, we believe, I mean, of the Abrahamic Yahweh God, and we believe, and we have cardinal truths. We believe in the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 15. It really boils down to this is what we believe. Now, there could be different variables, I mean, like I said, with baptism, with, I think it was Galatians 2 where, Paul and Peter kind of went at it a little bit. But at the same time, it's like, these are the foundational truths of Scripture. This is what we believe. Whatever variables we discuss, we can handle that in our own private time. But all of us, if we claim to be Christians, this is what we believe, and here's the Scriptures to back it. That's the biggest challenge to Kemet and Black atheists, and I would even say Hebrew Israelites, because there's different camps, I mean, of even endorsing controversial topics, like GMS, I mean, and I think at the end of the day, these are the foundational truths that us Christians believe. There's no argument to that, and I think that's what stands us out.
And you can't stand on a square when there's no square to stand on, right? Yeah. Like, what do you defend?
Yeah. Hey, okay.
No, that's true though. That's exactly right. You know what I'm saying? That's legit. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know some of you guys said there's a certain point you had to go, so I want to make sure you get the final shout out. Anything you want to close with, and also we got to hype up these channels because we're not done yet, folks. But I want to make sure everyone has time. Like for example, Adam really wants to eat some sandwiches. He might need to go.
Yeah,
I got about 10 more minutes. I got like 10 more minutes.
And he's about to be like Felix. Didn't Felix in what's that movie with Wreck-It Ralph? Didn't he like fix bricks, or was he a plumber? Anyway, I don't know, what was he?
Felix.
Anyways, he's about to get his Felix on, but again, I want to remind everybody, if you look on the bottom of the screen, there's a little graphic there. It's for something called the Cyber City Apologetics Conference. All the men that you see right here will be doing panels at the Cyber City Apologetics Conference. The website is cybercityconference.com. There's a little place to register. It's free. Basically, it just means make sure you check on the Facebook event page that you're going. And so I want to hear a little bit about what we're gonna do, and we're gonna remind everyone it's happening in March. So we'll probably have one more Cyber Cypher before the Cyber City Apologetics Conference. We'll probably have one like early March, and I'll invite like 3 different people. I got to get MJ on here, for example, and then after Cyber City's over, I'd like to do these every month. And the idea is we come together, we bang heads, we talk about these kind of different issues. You know what I mean? Something you have to do the hardcore prep. We don't have to do the PowerPoint. We just get 3 people, that way we all have our little squares together, me plus 3 or 4. Anyways, and we do this on a regular basis and also help promote people. So everybody, subscribe to True ID Apologetics. Adam, his videos are just epic. He's got great backlogs as far as podcasts, but he's transitioning more and more into videos. He's got some really creative, fantastic stuff, some awesome interviews. You really can't be listening to Urban Apologetics, in my opinion, if you're not subscribing to Adam Coleman, True ID Apologetics. You definitely have to. Then we got Alfredo. He's still building his platforms, but the brother is dropping all these hot shirts. And so you want some Urban Apologists like T-shirts and hot stuff, like Adam, your store is on T Republic, right? How do people find your store? Because you got a lot of dope designs. What's it at again?
It's T Public. Actually, I'll put the link in the chat. Yeah. It's T Public at the BK Apologist.
And me and Alfredo, I don't know if I said Adam when I was talking about you, Alfredo. I'm sorry. I'm just talking real fast.
Okay.
But I don't know if I did that. I'm sorry. But Alfredo, is dropping.
We all look alike.
This guy. This guy, man, he's got these really dope designs, and him and I are going to be collaborating because I made an announcement earlier. Once this channel hits 20K, which is only about 800 away, once it hits 20K, I'm going to open up a store, something I've never done before. And 2 of the designs that we get every quarter are going to be provided by my man Alfredo. We've already got this quarter's designs picked out. So once we hit 20, that store goes live, and then they won't be available on my platform. You'll have to go get those shirts from Alfredo directly. And so we're doing a little collaboration moderation effort as far as that kind of stuff goes. And so you definitely want to subscribe to BK Apologist. And I think that's what your social media handle is across most things, right?
Yep.
BK, of course, that's for Brooklyn Apologist. And when it comes to researching, Alfredo is really top of the line. He's top of the line when it comes to getting down to the gritty and finding sources for stuff. I mean, I know you know that's right, Adam? You've seen how he works.
Oh yeah, man. So definitely, we did a series where we did some deep dives, man, breaking down Antu and Jabbar debate, and we had a lot of fun, had a blast. And I'm not just saying this. I'm dead serious. Like when I say that BK Apologist's research game is tough, I'm telling you that chain is tough. I mean, this man comes out with sources. I mean, he stays sourced up. And it really forced me to up my game, as far as like, okay, I need to be a little more thorough on a couple of these points. You know what I mean? So, definitely check out his channel, subscribe to that joint. And also on Facebook too. He's constantly dropping gems on Facebook and TikTok and things of that nature. So, my man BK is no joke, bro. He's no joke.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you definitely want to hit him up, continue to check his stuff out. And then Chris Featherstone, man, he's got some real high quality stuff. You could tell, like, all right.
Nice.
Let me
beat him to the punch.
Vision United podcast. You guys will hear those effects later if you can hear it. Yeah, we got Vision United, Chris Featherstone, and that's my fellow Columbus, Ohio, man. Shout out also that we got Cordell, his homie, in the live chat. And Chris has got a lot of great interviews, and it's crazy because, like, he's already kind of big in the media world of, like, pro wrestling. He's always doing these interviews. So if you want to see a believer do some of that stuff, man, definitely check out Chris's stuff on that side of things. And now he's really, like, linking it up when it comes to urban apologetics. And I think you're still finishing your degree as well on soteriology?
Yeah, man. I have a master's in theological studies, but I'm finishing up. In a few months, I'll be a doctor in forensic psychology. So.
Oh yeah, Dr. Featherstone. And
yes, sir.
And so
more Johnson stuff, man. It was let me stop.
Say what?
Nah.
Okay. Nah, but Chris
that's that pizza talking, man.
Chris is real cool people, and you definitely want to subscribe there. I see they're dropping in the live chat. Shout out to Nate2D2. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to Dinu. They're dropping your links right now.
Thank you.
Which is
thank you.
youtube.com CFEATH7, and you just grab it from that. So there's some great folks, we want to expose you to. And so these brothers will all be doing stuff at the Cyber City Conference. Adam's going to talk about the problem with black atheism. And Alfredo's going to be talking about the problem with Kemetic. Wait, what are you talking about?
The conscious community.
Oh, the problem with the conscious community. Chris, what's your topic? Do you remember?
Gospel.
Oh, the problem with prosperity gospel. Yeah. Chris is really good on that topic. He be knowing all kinds of stuff. I was like, really? Chris knows a lot. That's a great. I forgot we had so much going on. But yeah, Chris is gonna talk about the prosperity gospel there. And so just stay tuned for that. So I'm excited about that. All right. Anything else you guys got going on? You want to hype up? Let people know, because there's so much happening now, man. There's like so much happening. What do you guys want to hype up? Anything?
Well, I'm actually speaking this Sunday at my church.
All right.
If anybody's in the New York 5 boroughs, it's at the Kimmel Theater in NYU, and I'll be speaking on Genesis chapter 7, the flood, at 11 a.m. So
dope, man. And you put some of those videos up on TikTok and Facebook, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's epic, man. That's epic. And there's something else popping off. Oh, we do.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to. Oh, okay.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to my man, Pastor Tim Allison out there in Bloomington, Illinois. Next week we're gonna be having a conference. I'll be speaking at the conference at his church, Reconciled Church. It's called the Unapologetically Black, Unashamedly. Damn, I always mess that Jane up. Unapologetically Christian. Man, I'm telling you, I mess that up every time, man. He's gonna get me. But yeah, Pastor Tim Allison, Reconciled Church. I got that down pat. You know what I'm saying? Bloomington, Illinois. We're gonna be there. I'll be there next Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Speaking on just basically exploring different African and African American thinkers and looking at some arguments that can be adapted into our apologetics today. Yeah.
Hey, when did you say you're going to speak there, Adam? What day?
Next Sunday.
Sunday. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, you fell right
I'm
into
sorry.
it.
He got me. I didn't even see it coming, man.
Nah, but yeah, man, Adam's like the perennial conference speaker. There's not an urban apologetics conference without Adam at it.
Nah, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
man.
bro. I'm like, where are you going this week? He's like, I'm going to Nebraska. What? Nebraska? Urban apologetics in Nebraska?
Nah, you be out there. Adam be out there.
Talk, man.
Adam
I
be
want
outside.
to shout out my man Quentin Rogers and Pastor John out there at Church on Purpose in Omaha, Nebraska. Man, had a blast with them guys. You know, I was there like about a week and a half ago. We had a conference out there. I did a presentation on Is Christianity White Man's Religion. Y'all can check that out on YouTube. Church on Purpose. You know, subscribe to their channel. You know what I'm saying? For sure, man. So definitely want to give a shout out to them. You know?
Yeah. And we cannot forget tomorrow, 400 Years Friday. So I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but I don't think this has ever been done in the history of YouTube that we're aware of. So this is not an idea we saw. This is like there's a 20-minute video that David Wood and I recorded. Now, he recorded it for me, but I'm the one talking primarily. Although I do give Adam definitely his shout-out, and I give a shout-out to urban apologists in general. And then Coleman Mike edited it. Okay, so this joint right here is about the 400-year false prophecy, which is really just an exercise in confusion. That's really what's all. This is a bunch of confusion. So I do my best to explain the confusion of this prophecy offered by what I call a sizable number of moderate or, quote, non-One West type Israelites. Although the One Westers do get their share because I cannot forget their 90s false prophecy. So I bring everything in, even throw a little shade at the J-dubs and the LDS folks, even though we love them, got to include them in the false prophet category. And this video is 20 minutes, almost on the nose, right? I think it's going to be very helpful. It's very interesting, but here's what we're doing. 16 different YouTube channels are going to be playing it all day tomorrow in 30-minute intervals. That means there's 20 minutes, you get 10 minutes to take a break, then come back, and it's going to be on the internet again. 16 different times tomorrow, which we're going to call forever 400 Years Friday, because it's about the 400-year false prophecy. This is going to be insane. I bet someone's going to drop the ball. We got people in Australia, and so to link up the times right, the guy has to make it go the next day in his country for it to appear Friday on ours, but it's Saturday over there. Like, so this is international. Like, this is insane. And I'm still looking for more people. So if you're watching this video and you have a small YouTube apologetics channel and you want to jump on, I'll give you the link to download the video. I've got a free thumbnail for you already. And you download that, I got 5 thumbnails left. So we got some room on the train, right? And we're going to premiere this thing all night. Like, you won't be able to go anywhere. And so my man Faithful to God is in the live chat. Shout out to him. He's going to be doing it. Miss Titus 2 is in the live chat. She's going to be doing it. I think Nate, we might even rope Nate into it. And of course, Chris and Adam. So there's going to be a whole group of people. It's going to be awesome. And so I'm looking forward to it. If this goes well, here's what I'm thinking. We should do another one time where we do the same video at the same moment. It goes live at 7 o'clock everywhere, which was just kind of a weird idea, but my idea that way is like you can't miss it. Oh, what's happening with the is that the world champion apologist? What is that?
The intercontinental champion of apologetics.
We are going to be the world champions of the 400-year Fridays tomorrow, making it happen. And it's going to be epic. It's going to be crazy. And I just wanted to show one of the belts.
Nice. Okay.
Nice.
Let me
the hardware.
Yes.
Chris's time, by the way, is 7 o'clock East Coast time. Adam Coleman's is 4:30 East Coast time. It starts off at 4 o'clock East Coast time. I go first, and David Wood's going to do it at 5 o'clock East Coast time. So that's crazy because that brother has 400,000 subs. Miss Titus 2 is at 8 o'clock. I'm not mentioning everybody. Brother Faithful to God, these are all East Coast times. Brother Faithful to God is at 5:30. So I'm just mentioning some of the people I saw come through the live chat. But someone was about to say something real quick.
No, I just want to give a shout out to Faithful to God, man. If cats haven't subscribed to this channel, man, they definitely need to. That cat been killing One West doctrine like forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, decimating it. So definitely check him out. And Nefertiti, man, we got to give Nefertiti a shout out.
Yes, definitely Nefer. Yes, absolutely, Nefertiti.
Yeah,
For sure.
So give her. Hey, she just started she just launched her website. So check Nefertiti, Nefernitty.
And she got the dope shirts and stuff. And she also will be speaking at Cyber City Apologetics Conference meeting. She has a slot. Hers is going to be one of the few ones that's going to be on Facebook Live, not on YouTube. So keep a watch for the channels and all that. It's going to be Friday, Saturday, and she's going to do one on the problem with Yoruba syncretism. I think so she's gonna go in, right?
Mean right there.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Because what I'm gonna do is, hold on. I'm gonna get a new. Just give me. Hold on. I got a new one for you, bro. Hold on. I got a new one for you.
Gosh.
Hold on.
I'm scared.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real
bad. It's gonna be so bad.
Wait. Hold on. Check this out. Vision United. Hold on, it didn't work. Hold up.
Take two.
Vision United. Wait, it's not doing it. Hold on.
Oh, come on, man! You messing me up.
It's
gotta be. Sync right.
Strike two.
There. Vision United podcast. Chris Featherstone. Yeah. Well, sorry, that's my.
Well, depending on certain Hebrews, that would be correct, right? I mean,
true nature coming out there, fellas. Oh man, I'm starting to manifest up in this piece. It's almost midnight, so hey, shout out to Sweet Tea for the super chat, and shout out to.
Hey, I gotta run, y'all.
All right. God bless Adam. Shout out to Mr. Phil Fox for the super chat. And there's someone else I made someone else a super chat. All right, so check it out, guys. I'm gonna do a freestyle, and so if you guys want to jump off, so you're not embarrassed, you're allowed to leave.
sounds good.
All right, God bless, man. See you later, Alfredo. Peace out, man.
Peace.
Oh, you guys are hilarious. All right, God bless you, Chris. All right, it's time. Freestyle up in the house. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm fair, man. I'm not going to make these guys, sit through it, what I'm saying? But it's time to freestyle. So let's drop that beat, ladies and gentlemen.
This is another just incredible.
Shout out to Justin Martyr for the track. Hold up. Yo. Yeah. Shout out to Justin Martyr for the track. Let's see how it sounds. Guys, let me know about the levels. Yo. Grab the mic, begin to flex. Props to DJ Next. Yeah. We coming for the next. Let me ask, who's next? Now cash your checks, there's not much money. Vocab Malone, go to church on Sunday. Only one way, don't drive a Hyundai, but a Dodge Grand. I say, Caravan, my man, what's up to Batman in the live chat? Give the backhand from the backside, that means the hands when I arrive. Check it out, I got the strive. Let me turn the beat up just a little. Here we go, I gotta spit hot, spittle, vocab like a riddle. This is how we do it, so I play the fiddle. Nah, man, not on top of the roof. Got a brand new mic when I step in the booth. I spit in the truth like for the youth. I ain't got no gold up on the tooth. Ain't got no gold, no Tootsie Roll. Vocab Malone, call me C3PO. Why? Cause I know protocol. People out now, we're having a ball. Dance all reggae, all the way to Jamaica. What you got to say? Hey, D-New. Now we rocking it out. Here we come again, so give the shout to CP, that's Christian Prince. We making hip-hop monuments. I rap over instruments. This Vocab Malone, we bent like a hanger. Getting car keys, scratching the devil like he was a flea. On my knees when I prayed to G. O to the D plus JC, that's the Holy Trinity. 3 I speak. I grab the beat and then I take a leak. I mean bodily fluids, move it. Vocab Malone, come through, do it. Yeah, some of y'all too similar to a movie called You Cinema. I'm not an atheist like cinema. That's Kirsten Cinema in AZ Kid. Rock the microphone from the top of the lid. Okay, how we do? I was doing the bid, but he saved me and made me free. I praise him most definitely. Indubitably, call me Sherlock Holmes. I'm Vocab Malone in my bones. I got the fire like Jeremiah. Rock it every day, away from liar. Yeah, shout out to Liza J. $2.99, she had to pay. Get the fist bump, holiday. We gonna light it up like a 4th of July. I met July, the beat is fly. Hello, how you doing? In my eye, I got a log and maybe a speck. Call me inspector, not inspect a deck, but expect a gadget. Hip hop like a rabbit. Yeah, I got to rap it. then I flap it. You like the beat? Go ahead and clap it. You got the shoes? Go ahead and tap it. Gregory Hines coming for the mind. Yo, I lyrically spanked it behind. Ha ha! From the top of the mind, shine divine like a diamond. This is the end of my rhyming. Let's do one more, y'all. Let's do one more, y'all. This one's by Jonathan Soko right here. Yeah. Yeah. Bring in the beat. Yeah. Chill in my seat. Yeah, yeah. Gotta get the freak. Rock it. Unique style. Free style. You ain't heard it in a while. Turn up the volume. Yeah. Inside the room, the studio, I'm like Coolio. A fantastic voyage, I'm moving, bro. I got that soul, like Soul Train. Yo, choo-choo, I'm doing my thing. You know we bang like the Bloods and Crips. Give me the mic, I begin to spit, but don't set trip. And now I flip like an acrobat, a little kid on a mattress. I'm not an actress. Vocab Malone, I got my back, kids, like a chiropractor. Read the chapter, coming at you like a Jurassic raptor. In the park, my name John Mark. Give me the light, I be light in the dark. Sparking the arc, like no, hello, how you doing? I flow, got the Malone, so call me Moses. Yes, indeed, I suppose this beat is fire. That's no liar. Johnny Torch, my desire to set it off and take it higher. Like higher learning, call it higher sire. A higher burning, and now I'm yearning. J Soko and not a German. I'm a squirming in the seat. Italiano with the beat. We got the ill type flow. What's up? Call me Mr. Dean O. Hey yo, I'm maybe like Plato, a Socrates, I don't know, G.I. Joe. What I like plus Star Wars, Vocab Malone, I'm out on tour with the ill metaphor. Call me Mr. Matador. Hello, Abraham Lincoln for score. How many years ago? I don't know. Peep it out now, I save my soul. No, I can't. It's not my works but grace. I'm falling off a little bit in the place. So bring in the beat and bring in the bass. Hey yo, I gotta run the race.